Hello and welcome to another tournament episode. Today it will be Rockstar Steampunks against Geeks Mounties, seed 10 against seed 23. The bases are Ancient Temple, the Golden Lily, and the Dread Gazebo. We will start with the highest seed, and we'll discard a fan, draw a card, and play Dudley. So, as some of you might know, I'm not a big fan of Geeks. I don't think they are that good. However, I do think there are specific factions they counter really good. And one of those factions is Rockstar because all their groupies are very vulnerable to the banned list. And with Steampunks, they are even doubling down on the groupie strategy in combination with Rotary Slug Thrower. So this might be a tough game for them. Wall Wheaton is already cancelling a Zeppelin. That leaves just a minion play for Steampunks Rockstars, so they will play Captain Ahab on the Golden Lily to at least draw one extra card. Back to Mounties Geeks. We'll wait a bit for banned list until there's a higher chance of our opponent drawing into groupies. We'll just play a Warganuk and then draw 3 cards. Also drawing into our other special. We will now play a Rickroll on Ancient Temple and then just draw 3. Alright. So we can activate Warganuk to gain 2 power. We don't get extra power from the base. That only works with 1 minion. So we'll have to play another Warganuk if we want to score the base. I really like the new Warganuks. They are quite awesome. And they also make it a bit easier for Mounties to solo score a base, because we can activate the talents, move Dudley over as well. And then even if we get rid of our opponent's minion, the Warganuks will still have their power. So we'll take control of Rickroll and then we can solo score the base. Gain 4 victory points. So this is a very nice start for Mountie Geeks, because they already are with 4 victory points in the lead and they still have banned list in their hand, which they can use to slow down their opponent. Let's get back to Steampunk Rockstars. We can play our difference engine again, but we can still cancel this with Force of Will, the other action cancelling card. We'll then just play Steamman on Field of Honor and draw 3 cards. So at least Mountie Geeks played all their interfering specials. We can play a Dudley on Golden Lily again to draw 3. And we go back to Steampunk Rockstars. We're going to create a little bit of an engine on the Golden Lily by playing Turn It Up to 11, which makes the base a good base for Classic Rocker to hang out. We'll use Classic Rocker to draw, and then draw 2 more at the end of our turn, plus 1 from the base. Because this is at the end of the turn, we don't need to discard down to 10. Right? So this might be a good time to play banned list for the first time. And of course we'll target groupies. So there are 3, which will all go to the bottom of their deck. We now also have all the other information about their hand, so we know what might come. Banned list goes back to our hand. And we just play a Game Brewer on Field of Honor. Draw 3. Okay, first of all, let's draw a card with Classic Rocker. With just one minion in our hand, might be the best to play Steam Queen and Aggro Motive to score Field of Honor. I really don't mind having Aggro Motive and Rotary Slug Thrower in the discard pile, because then they can be played as an extra action with Mechanic. Without any of those two cards, Mechanic becomes a lot less useful if they are not in the discard pile. And the new base is Workshop, a base Steampunks definitely love. We draw 3 more cards. Alright. So we already know that there are some good candidates for min-maxing. Stealing Rotary Slug Thrower might be a good idea, but they will be destroyed by Ornate Dome. So we can actually play Ornate Dome on Workshop. And this way, Rockstar Steampunks cannot play their actions on Workshop or the Dread Gazebo, forcing them to use them on their engine base. We can then also play a Northern Mover and draw 3 cards. Back to Steampunk Rockstars. We can draw with Classic Rocker. And then we can still play our minions, of course, on Workshop. And then maybe scrap diving into Difference Engine again. Would be very cool if we can draw 5 cards a turn. Discarding Escape Hedge. Drawing 1 more with Golden Lily. Okay, we can use Northern Mover to give 1 power to Dudley and then play Move a Boot. And we are going to try to score the Golden Lily, because every turn Rockstar Steampunks draw 1 more card than we do, so we want to stop this by scoring the base. And then when the VPs are awarded, we can play Cosplay to gain a total of 4 victory points. And the score is now 9 against 5. And Steampunks still can play their actions on any of the 2 bases on the left and right. They can play their special though for 3 cards, because they had turned it up to 11 on the base. Drawing into their other special, so let's draw 3 more. And then we have a very big hand, lots of opportunities. Let's play Hot Venue on the only base where we can play actions, and then the Monarch, searching for a groupie. Then we draw 2 cards and discard a bunch. We have a very strong hand, but banned list is still a threat. We might also discard our special since they already know that we have it. And then we draw 1 more card with Hot Venue at the end of our turn. Okay, so since we know that Rockstar just searched for another groupie, we will play banned list for the 2nd time. So once again, 3 groupies are sent to the bottom of the deck, and we now also know that there are 2 mechanics in their hand, which might be a target for our next banned list. We also have information about their hand, so we know that they can score strategic syrup reserve without our help. So to avoid missing out on a second place, we'll play a Dudley over there and then end our turn. All right, so we don't want to lose our mechanics. So to make sure we will be using them, we're just going to score strategic syrup reserve this turn. So we can search for one more groupie with the monarch, and then we'll go ahead and play mechanic. I just want mechanic out of my hand and play one of those strong actions, aggro motive, so they cannot be put at the bottom of our deck with banned list. And we also need to score the space this turn, because if Felicia Day comes up, she can move all the minions, but not the actions, which means we are very vulnerable and then they can just take advantage of our power. Which means I have to play Rotary Slug Thrower to actually score the base, which might seem like a waste, but like I said, Felicia Day is a threat, and having Rotary Slug Thrower in our discard pile is actually a good thing with our last mechanic in hand. And then we score the base. Score is 9 against 11. The con comes up, which is also a very dangerous base with other groupies. Alright. We will play a Dudley on the workshop and then bring him in on him. Then just draw to a best turn. We'll start with a classic worker, drawing a card. Hoping to at least play one groupie burst this game. We will also play Reunion Tour before it gets discarded by banned list. If we score the con and the game goes on, we really want those high value minions back in our deck. And I'm even shuffling 2 more smaller minions into the deck. The reason why I'm doing this is because at the end of the game, mechanics will be one of our best cards, but they are pretty much useless once our discard pile shuffles back to our deck if the deck runs out of cards. So I just want a little bit more cards in the deck so mechanics are useful for a longer time. Then we draw 2 and pass turn. Okay, so seems like the game is almost over. We're going to play HQ. We can also move Dudley over to the con, and then he gets a counter from bring him in. We can move him back with HQ. I realized later that he also gets a power counter for that, don't worry. And then this must also may be a good time to play our second copy of banned list targeting groupies again. Because the thinner the deck gets, the less impact this card will have. Okay. Then we will play a Northern Mover. We know that they cannot score the con without our help, because we just saw their hand. There's no reason to play a minion there. We can just draw 2 and pass turn now. Okay, we'll draw a card. Then play Rock of Love, searching for 3 groupies, hoping that we can finally burst in the future with those groupies and maybe Rotary Slug Thrower. And then score the con. We will also play Captain Ahab to prepare for a later turn. We are in a very bad position with Rockstar Steampunks, because we can only play on one base. We don't have much movement to lower bases, so And then, of course, there's the victory points deficit. So as I said, I am now realizing that Dudley should have another power counter. We can also repeat the process, giving him 2 more power counters and 1 conditional power with his talent. We can even make him a 9 power minion with Northern Mover. And then in order to solo score the workshop, we can just play another minion, Game Guru, and then power Poutine for the last power to score the base. And then Mountie Geeks will get 4 victory points, bringing them to 15, and they win the game with 15 against 9. As I said, I think Rockstar Steampunks are way better than Mountie Geeks, but Geeks are a very good counter against Rockstars. Rockstars have not even played one groupie this entire game, which really hurts. But yeah, Geek Mounties will still go to round 2, where they will probably lose against Kung Fu Fighter Clowns. And then the next game will be Changerbots G.I. Gerald versus Samurai Polynesian Voyagers. As always, thanks for watching and see you next episode. Goodbye.